Welcome back to The Donkey,
And the bee.
where men are jackasses,
And women are biatches.
where we work together to build an extraordinary life.
Tune in to up your game in your marriage, entrepreneurship, and finances. Welcome back to the episode of The Donkey and the Bee with your host, Brett, the jackass, and we got Laura, the biatch. We are coming at you talking about all things marriage, entrepreneurship, and finance. And sometimes it's real hard to be married, but we still make it through.
That's right. We're doing this crap together. Through the good and the bad and everything in between.
The hills and the valleys.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about success and failure today. And actually, I kind of think that in the same instant, in one instant, you can either succeed or fail. But it's that results, right? The results trail so long after when you choose to succeed. Whereas when you choose to fail or to quit or give up, it's right there. It's like failure is immediate, but success, it's harder. It's harder to have success because even though you choose it, man, it's delayed.
It is a decision. I think we made that decision early, and it was a really difficult decision for us because we had to give up a lot of things. And we didn't see the gratification for years. And it was, I would say it's kind of grueling because you're in this grind and you're in this lifestyle you don't really like. And you're sacrificing some of your financial things. You're sacrificing time with friends and family and whatever else. And you're not seeing any result yet. And it's super frustrating. And you definitely want to give up because you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You're like, why am I doing all this? What? Why am I doing all this? Is it even worth it? But we made that decision. And I think that's why it's important that we said that first, is you need to make that decision. Because if you don't make that decision, you're going to be wishy-washy about it the entire time, and you will probably give up. But if you make that decision with your spouse or by yourself initially, you'll be more headstrong to complete that task and to get it done into fruition.
Well, one of the first decisions that we made together when we were freshly married was getting our finances together, right? The defensive side, the budgeting side, and the offensive side, increasing our income and then learning to invest. And so we made this decision, but it was a crap show for years, right? We cut our expenses back so much. We barely could afford anything. We took very inexpensive vacations. We actually were camping most of the time when our kids are young because that's all we would allow ourselves to spend. And we learned to make great money and not spend it, which was really crappy, right? Yeah. Like there was a lot of delayed gratification there. And it was a lot of like, is this really worth it? Is this really going to bear fruit that we are going towards? But you fast forward, it took, I don't know, on the short side, maybe 5 years before we started letting some of those rewards come in, to maybe 10 years, between 5 and 10. And we delayed these gratifications. And honestly, we produced more cash flow. We bought investments that spit off more cash flow that allowed us to continue to still save the majority of the active income, but now start reinvesting some of the passive income into some of the fluffy things that we want and increase the lifestyle a little bit. But man, it was a hard and frustrating time, even though it was one instance in the very beginning where we said, we're deciding this is what we're going to do for our family. But it was no magic wand. We didn't just become financially free and rich and do all these fun things overnight.
But we just got lucky. That's what everyone always says, right?
We just got lucky.
We just got lucky.
Yeah. Screw the hard work. It has nothing to do with it, or the nights, sleepless nights and crying. No, we're just lucky.
Yeah, we're just lucky. That's what most people say, is they were just luck. It was no hard work. There was no stressful times, that it was so easy for us to just come into this money. And
yeah, it was all easy times.
Oh my gosh. I got to tell you, if you choose this narrow path, it's very narrow and it's very small. And man, there are lots of animals that jump out at you when you're down this path. And it's scary and it's dark and it's lonely and it's really hard. And there are lots of sleepless nights. There are lots of times that, man, I cried myself to sleep and I cried still in the morning when I got up. And there were lots of times where I was uncertain. And so I don't want people thinking that, you're going down this road. You're deciding to choose financial freedom. It's going to be so easy. I'm just going to give up going to parties and hanging out with family, and I'll just live on top ramen. Like, that's a little bit more than that. It's
Yeah.
It's a lot harder.
Well, the thing is, your friends, they're always trying to sabotage you, right? Why are you not coming out and drinking at the bar anymore?
Oh, you better than
us?
us?
It's a Vegas trip. Let's go. Right? Like, no, we're not going to spend that money. No, we're not going to go out. No, we're going to continue working on the weekends. No, we are still hustling. Yes, I know it's your birthday and the bachelor party. We're not going to go.
Yeah.
We're still going to grind. But even your family, right? Even your family is like, don't you think you're working too hard? Don't you think it's a little disproportionate, right? And you just got to throw all that crap aside, right? You've made the commitment. You planted the seed. It takes at least several years to sprout on some of these things. If we're talking about finances and investing and things like that, man, you got to at least 2 to 3 years before you start getting those heads in this, harvesting analogy, coming above the ground, right?
Yeah.
And then it's really like a decade or more before you can start fully reaping. But that just continues to spit off new cash flow, new income every single year once you put in that first, 5 to 10 years of all of that sacrifice. And I think that's the most hardest part. Like, you can get on the same page with your spouse and be like, babe, I love this. Let's do this. Let's go after these goals. Cool, let's do it. But then it's a continual decision every day after that. And you can have days where you fail and you're like, I screwed up, and I, whether it's finances, I blew the budget, or whether it's the gym, I went on this bender and ate a bunch of ice cream or whatever, right? And there's seasons, right? But ultimately, like, you just don't see the fruit for so long. But I think what we had to learn was this delayed gratification. And the first time we went through this when we were young married, it was like, is it really real? Like, I didn't know if the pot of gold was on the other side of the rainbow. And now, having been through several seasons of doing this with multiple businesses and potentially in other areas of our life, physically and with our kids, I know that there's a pot of gold on the other side of the rainbow. I know it's probably going to take twice as long as I think, but I'm confident if I stay the course and make the small decisions daily, that I'll get there.
Consistency is key. And I know that everybody always says that cliche statement, but it's so true. I mean, you can literally say that toward any avenue of your life. So you mentioned working out. Consistency is key. I mean, if I take a week off the gym, I feel like I'm like back at square one,
Yeah.
You got to be consistent. You got to go in daily. Parenting, same thing. I mean, you can't just pop out a baby and expect that you're going to teach it to sleep and then that's it. Like, it's consistent daily outpour into your children. Even when they're in their teenage years, even when they're in their 20s, even when they're in their 30s, you're still going to outpour consistent love and direction toward them. In your finances, in your relationships. I mean, it's in every avenue of your life. It's being consistent with your habits in those areas that really get you there.
The frustrating part is you can be consistent, right? For seasons, for years. And you talk about your working out, right? If you took a week or two off or traveled, or you just got into like the little rut in life and you gave it just a few weeks, right? You can totally get your body out of shape. All of your muscles, you'll lose all that strength. If you can do that in, say, 2 weeks, how much longer will it take you to build all those muscles back, create that endurance again, right? Yeah. It's multiple times as long. And that's the frustrating part with this principle, is that it takes 5, 10, 100 times longer to bear the fruit than it does to kill the fruit, right? Like, I can knock down a skyscraper with a bomb in 10 seconds, right? How long does it take to build a skyscraper? It takes like 5 years, right? How long does it take to build an amazing business or an amazing marriage? Decades, right? You could literally, with one decision, blow the whole thing up, whether it's your business, whether it's your relationship with your kids, with your spouse, all of those things. One bad choice can blow it up. But it takes so much longer to build this thing up. And I think that's kind of the lesson that you have to learn in kind of baby steps, is the consistency is so important, but there is actually the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's just going to take a while to get there.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of The Donkey and the Bee. We will see you on the next one.